Welcome into the Ringverse.
Okay.
This is, of course, the Ringers Nexus podcast feed for all things fandom. We are Steve, the architect Ahlman, the builder and tinkerer of things. Jomi, the explainer Adeniran. You've got questions, he's got answers. Old man Van, you have the resurgent hairline.
No cowboy hat?
No cowboy hat. You're feeling confident today.
Yeah, it's out there. We're done with it. It's over. I know the cowboy hat will be back, but I just had to show it off today. I gave it to CNN, and people were like, why don't you give it to the Ringers? Colt, Baby Chuck, the 24-karat closer. Bozeman the dog.
Wait, Bozeman don't have a nickname?
I don't know. Bosley Wosley, the Wonder Pup. Oh, look, he likes it.
Well, he is officially the fifth Midnight Boy,
Yeah,
according to Chuck,
well,
and nobody else.
Six, the Midnight Boy.
You said you made the declaration.
Oh,
Nobody
my
else.
gosh.
Together we are known as the Midnight Boys. The Midnight Collective is back there. Arjuna, Aleya, SOB Zenieris, Jonathan, Spit Hot Fire, Kermah. You got to follow us on socials, Insta, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok, Jomi.
A lot of fun stuff coming this month. Last of Us, Andor, obviously. Tap in.
Well, you know what? Social's been going crazy, bro.
Hey, man, we do what we can.
Social media is just a powder keg.
Obviously.
I saw a woman match you when I was driving. I was like, damn, what did he do on this episode of Ireland?
Oh no, we were talking about whether or not it's okay to comment on how good Sierra looks. Because what I said was, Sierra looks good, and I'm glad that Russell Wilson is continuing to play football. Because if he was at home, he would just get her pregnant again.
So, okay. I think I see where people could be upset with this.
Wait, what?
I don't give a fuck.
I know you don't.
I don't understand.
I don't even want to fucking
I
get into it.
I get it.
It's just, God damn it.
I've seen a lot of angles.
I'm about
here.
to go to the manosphere. We're on YouTube.
No race, though.
Like, comment, subscribe, share. You can watch every Midnight Boys and House of R episode on youtube.com/@Ringverse and also on Spotify. We have to say that. Program reminders. The Ringverse is deep on The Last of Us. How many shows do we have that are doing The Last of Us coverage? What?
It's going to be a lot. We got a lot of people talking about it.
Two so far. There might be one on Prestige TV, so 3.
Last of Us, this is a big season of television.
It's the It Girl.
Yeah, for sure right now.
Honestly, it's HBO's cooking. White Lotus, Last of Us. We got Game of Thrones coming soon. Shit.
They got their IP going strong. House of R will be giving you their Last of Us deep dives as well. I think should be a lot there.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a lot there. House of R does really well with the deep dives. And when the show has deep lore, is when I feel like it's the best. And there's going to be a lot there for The Last of Us.
Over under 6-hour pod for Andor, though.
I want to see him touch 6 hours.
Think so?
I want to see him touch 6 hours.
I'm taking the under confidently, but it's going to be like 4 hours.
I think
4 hours for 3 hours of content?
It's going to be 3+ hours, maybe 4.
If you were to ever see something north of 4 hours, that makes it a 2-part pod, I think. I don't think that we want to put something out there that's like...
I mean, you're probably...
Unless I'm wrong, if people
you're
want
talking,
4 hours...
I mean, you're talking shop, really, but I think we're going to put like literally 3.5 hours on 3-hour pods.
Right. Podcast are you guys on? But Mid Edition comes back on Friday as well. Mint Boys.
What are they doing?
What are you guys doing?
Oh, man, there's a lot coming out this month. There could be that video game adaptation of Until Dawn that we could be taking a look at.
What the fuck is that?
It's that PlayStation movie.
What?
Yeah.
What are y'all talking
about? They adapted a video game that was like a horror slasher thriller into a movie with Peter Stormare.
Okay.
We might be taking a look at that.
All right, sweet. Peter Stormare, one of the best on-screen portrayals of Lucifer ever. I love it.
From Constantine.
Constantine.
Legendary movie.
Overhated movie.
Overhated. We should.
I've never seen the. Are you talking about the Keanu one?
Yeah. Keanu Reeves.
That movie's great.
We should do a whole series here called Overhated. Constantine. I don't think people were really ready for it when it came out. Overhated movie. All I'm saying is really good.
Constantine?
To me, it's good.
Constantine's great.
To me, it's good. Maybe people weren't ready for the occult type of shit. It's good.
Overhated because we already got to do Eternals potentially.
Eternals is overhated. Eternals is overhated, man.
In retrospect, with everything that came after it, I'm not saying it's a good movie, but it is.
We've had the Thanos "I've judged you too harshly" conversation about Eternals.
You guys, give us your overhated movies. Make a list on one of these places.
The original Fantastic Four.
All right.
I mean, I don't think that that's overhated. I think that most people that were there kind of still remember that movie fondly.
Oh, wow.
But I think the second one kind of drags it down a little.
I think a lot of the
Second one's
Fox
impossible.
X-Men movies, now that we know the Fox X-Men are coming back at Doomsday, I'm just like a little overhated. Like
X-Men: The Last Stand overhated.
No,
No.
adequately hated.
well, no, there's
Adequately
good
hated.
points. There's good parts in the movie.
No, I know, but
There's good parts in the movie, just not.
Yeah, they just did. That movie would be at least 10% better to me had they not done like the Juggernaut type of stuff.
The Juggernaut's
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah, it's just
Real
like they
tough.
fuck over the shit and they spit in the faces of the fans. But it's like it's
Also,
a
the
little
Phoenix
overrated.
aspect of.
Tough.
Haven't done it right.
tough.
What do you? Last question. Do you think there's any chance the MCU touches the Phoenix, or is it just kind of like we are never going?
They have
You know,
to.
it's not easy to do.
It isn't.
But they have to
to.
get it right. But it's not easy to
But
do. It's hard to do.
It
Phoenix,
works. If you've read the original Dark Phoenix, it has a lot of that, like Guardians of the Galaxy. You know, they go off planet. There's alien. I think that they could do it. You just need to kind of have that goofy. You have to be willing to do the goofy sci-fi.
It's
shit.
really hard because I think we could all remember when we finished X2 and we saw the shadow of the Phoenix in that lake, how excited we were for what that could mean, and then it was just absolutely
It's
not.
just not. It's not
No.
easy to do. It takes a long time to build it up. You get connected to Jean and all of her vulnerability, and then she has to turn into this cosmic force of
Mass
pure
murderer.
passion.
Mhm.
And it's a quick turn. It's tough. It's
Yeah.
not easy to do, and you probably need to do it over the course, maybe of like 4 or 5 movies, actually. Yeah. Maybe if you have like a while, we'll see what the MCU does with it. Okay. On today's show, though, we're gonna give you our instant reactions to the latest episodes of Andor.
Let's fucking go.
Andor is fucking back, and Charles could not be happier. Spoiler warning for Andor. Everything in what I'm starting to call Tony Gilroy's Star Wars.
Woo!
Because he has his own wing of Star Wars. He has his own wing. His own wing of Star Wars. The Tony Gilroy wing
But
of
to be
Star
fair,
Wars.
Tony Gilroy has told the press, he's like, don't get it twisted. Baby Yoda paid for this wing. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
no, no, no,
This
no.
is like
How's the
David
Baby
Filoni,
Yoda
Jon
bill?
Favreau paid for this wing.
No. I'm
Respect
with
it, you know?
I'm with it. I'm just saying there's a tone, a feeling,
Yeah.
a kinetic energy that exists in his version of Star Wars. But our spoiler warning is for everything Star Wars, and we're going to drop it right now. We're getting ready to talk about
Cassian Andor.
You're listening to a reaction podcast. The spoilers are coming. To begin our reactions, we once again bring you the Midnight Manifest, and boy, am I anxious to hear this.
Oh, we're gonna get
be a
through this
lot.
quick.
Go for it, Chuck.
All right, this is your Midnight Manifest for Andor Season 2. All 3 of these first episodes directed by Ariel Kleiman and written by Tony Gilroy. We're switching it up this time. I'm not going episode by episode. I'm going by character arc. So Cassian, we start 1 year later, BBY-4 at an Imperial outpost. Cassian, now a seasoned rebellion vet, steals an advanced Imperial ship from an outpost with the help of a nervous new defector. Cassian is successful in his heist until he's captured by a rebellion splinter cell that crash landed on a planet and need his help to escape the world, as Cassian is the only person who knows how to fly this TIE fighter. This cell also killed Porco, the man he was supposed to pass the ship along to. Cassian watches and often nudges the splinter cell until they devolve into mutiny and he can escape. Next, we have the Empire. At the Malthine Divide, Orson Krennic calls the top secret council together to plan a wide-scale invasion of Gorman. The Empire needs to strip the planet of Calcite, a substance they desperately need to coat their reactors. Unfortunately, this process will also render the planet uninhabitable, and how does our girl Dedra prove her mettle to her new boss? Well, she proposes the Empire infiltrate the rebellion network on the planet and sow dissension. After a hard day's work, Dedra goes back to her new hubby, Cyril, and at an awkward dinner, Dedra muscles Cyril's mom and says there's a new head bitch in town, and only one of them can have cards and nuts in her hands. Mon Mothma marriage. Next, shit is not going great for Mon Mothma. Her daughter is on the eve of an arranged marriage to Devo Skolden's son, which she knows is bound to be loveless, just like her marriage. Kolma is pressuring Mon for some credits or he's about to rat, and Lathan is hovering over his collaborator's shoulder, letting her know, Tay, gotta get the fuck up out of here. And by the third episode, we get the return of my girl, Cinta, who is going to murk Tay and get him out of the paint. Last but certainly not least, Brasso, Bix, Will, and B2 Emo have started a new life on an Adeniran planet, Mina Rao. Their peace is quickly interrupted when an Imperial ship arrives to conduct a census. Bix struggles with PTSD from her time being tortured by the Empire in Season 1, while Brasso works with a local grain farmer to try and avoid the harvest. Brasso ends up losing his life as he's betrayed by the farmer. Bix fends off a rapist Imperial officer as she tries to escape the planet. And as all hope seems lost, Cassian arrives to help Bix and Will escape. That has been your Midnight Manifest for the first 3 episodes. How did I do? Was it not
fantastic?
Too long?
That was fantastic. Whew. I really feel like I have a good sense of what happened there.
We're back, baby.
Midnight Manifest. We are back.
So, Van, let's cut to the chase. Andor Season 1, I think we have gone through it being properly rated, potentially being a little overrated, and maybe with Season 2, I'm back to being like, this is great.
Just the shit.
Like, so how are you feeling with Andor Season 2 being back in these first 3 episodes?
I'm feeling great being back. There's so much going on in the episodes, though. There's so much happening here. I was wondering if you guys, can we just talk about everything that happened and then get into our feelings about the 3 episodes at the end? Is that okay?
So do we want to start? Let's start with Cassian, because I think what these 3 episodes do brilliantly is that we see a different version of Cassian, even though it's only a year later. I think the first season was about him becoming radicalized and fully joining the rebellion. And this season is him being a seasoned vet. And what you see over the course of these 3 episodes, the defector that he's talking to, she's nervous. She doesn't know. This is her first time and her first big mission. He's calming her down. But also, when he crash lands on the planet, he's like, hey, yo, y'all want to get some water? It's not going to rain forever. I think you need a perimeter. Tony Gilroy's doing such a good job in a very short amount of time, basically showing us that this is a different Cassian, that he knows how to maneuver as a spy in this, that he's becoming a leader. And I thought that it was handled just like deftly. What did you think of kind of Cassian's return?
So he looks to me like when you think about him, it almost feels like Skywalker in Return of the Jedi a little bit.
Yeah.
When you're introduced to Luke in Return of the Jedi, he walks into Jabba's spot. You're like, oh, he's got it. He's figured it out. He's mind tricking people. He's confident talking to Jabba about how powerful he is. Luke is a Jedi.
He's not a farm boy anymore.
He's not a farm boy anymore. Yeah. Whatever metamorphosis that he went through, from a wide-eyed farm boy on Tatooine to actual Jedi, you feel like it's happened. And part of it happened off screen.
Yeah.
Right? You watch the parts of it that were formative. You watch him face Vader. You watch him go try to save his friends, the whole 9. You watched all of that. But part of it happened off screen. When we first see Cassian and he is in disguise, in the Imperial base, trying to steal this advanced TIE fighter, you know that things have happened since you left him, to where he's become even more adept at espionage and going undercover and at calming down the new people.
He reminded me of Lathan a little bit when he's giving her the speech. I'm like, oh,
like,
right.
Oh, you become more than your fear. You're
I was just like, oh,
Lathan.
And even to the point to where when he saves the day at the end, he comes back as sort of the anti-Jedi, the person that doesn't have the Force, but is there to save the day just based on guile and his understanding of how to maneuver in and out of bad situations. I, at first, was getting annoyed with him with the slap dicks from Maya.
Well, and that's
I was getting annoyed.
Yeah.
However, it was incredibly important, not just to build to the last moment where Cassian comes in to save the day, but also to show you that he is in a position where he is so deadly focused that there are not many circumstances you can put him in that he's not.
Wait, can I ask this really quick? There was a reading of these episodes where I'm like, even when Cassian's talking to the woman in the beginning, where there was almost like a sinister edge to it, because when the other Imperial officer comes, you see this look on Cassian's face like, am I going to have to kill someone?
I have to kill someone. Yeah.
And then I'm like, he doesn't take that woman with him. And I'm just like, the chances of her getting caught are actually quite high.
Well, she negotiated it with him. She said she actually said, he says, how much? He says, give me a 12-minute head start. And then he says, is that enough?
Yeah.
So there was at least, because we're still watching there was at least, he's to the point to where he has some sort of concern for his compatriots in this fight.
It's there, but even when he's like with the slapdicks on the planet, you can see how he's like slowly like sowing chaos. Where to your point, I was a little annoyed. I'm like, dog, this is almost a different TV show. It's very comical, but the way like Cassian's talking to them and being like, hey, yo, like,
you need water. This is raining. You gotta.
Yeah.
But even before, like the guy who has the gun on him, the big dude, he's like, hey,
you know what he realizes about them though? They're dangerous.
Oh yeah.
Because they're so
they're
incompetent that they're dangerous. So he starts looking around and going, no, who's in charge? He peeps it very soon that if he doesn't find his way out of that, he's going to end up accidentally or purposefully dead.
When he was like, y'all should set a perimeter, and then one of the dudes was like, oh yeah, I was thinking about that already.
Right.
I was just like,
he can't even like begin to talk shit because then somebody's gonna have a gun on him because like, all right, I can't talk my way out of this. I just got to figure a way to just like catch somebody slipping at the right time, which is exactly what he does. Yeah. And I think what I've loved about all of 3 of these episodes, and I could talk about that first scene when he's just literally trying to steal that ship and convince somebody else that doing the first bad thing that they've ever done in their life is the right thing. Not only because he thinks that it is right, but it's exactly what he needs at that very moment. And he's probably been holding out for like months to get a taste of that ship and fly it out of there. This is why I've loved this show, and I couldn't wait to get back into this world, because in Microcosm, how good Gilroy is at giving stakes to somebody that we will only know for 5 minutes.
Yep.
And then immediately pushing that away. And then we're on a freight train of conviction that is Diego Luna to try to just get off of a planet for 2 days to do one thing, because not only is he completely adept at everything that he can do with the people that he's stuck on a planet for 2 days, he's yelling at his code talker when he's finally back on this ship, being like, did you know that I wasn't trained to fly this? Do you even know what ship that I'm bringing in? Where am I supposed to go? Our guy's been dead for 3 days. Did you know that? He's yelling at everybody else because he's the only person that's actually able to do this. And when you're alone for that long, he's been clearly like strung out. By the time that he actually gets back to Bix and the people that he really trusts and fucks with, they're completely distraught, and he's got to like band all of those things together. It was like a raucous first 3 episodes.
Can I ask this? Was the purpose of these first 3 episodes to kind of show how strained the rebellion is? Because I get the set, like even Lathan, how much he's just like, yo, have you heard from Cassian? Have you heard from Cassian? It seems like they don't have that many people who are that good at this, because I got the sense that when he crash lands, they kill Porco, but he realizes, oh, we've been assisting you. Like, we're both from different parts of the rebellion. Yeah. You're just from a strand that is like the idiots.
And not even that. It's just they don't even know. They clearly don't have an objective. They don't have an organization.
So the part you're talking about, the rebellion being in disarray, I think that's the theme of the 3 episodes. Obviously, Cassian, they have that whole like little civil war in the jungle. Mon Mothma with Tay and Skolden, right? With Lathan, like that. We're gonna talk about it more later, but I really love that part because Lathan is so ruthless. Ruthless looking like Tay, like he kind of feels like he.
Mon looks at Lathan when he arrives. Like, damn, not this dude.
Like,
here.
Shit. Now
She's like, shit.
Right?
No, Mon is like, no, I need to be held accountable now. I can't just be like hands off the wheel. It's nuts.
Tay, like, Lee's like, Tay looking a little shaky. All Tay was like, I might need a little bit more bread. It's like, that's enough. Get that guy out of there.
Yep.
And then you go to Ferrex, or not Ferrex, the people that we met on Ferrex in season 1, and they're kind of just like, I mean, life's not the worst, but when the rebellion or when the Imperials are like always coming around, you never feel safe, right? You always have to, we got to get these fake key cards or whatever. The rebellion, as we know it right now, is in complete shambles. And so this was a great 3 episodes. So like, this is not the rebellion that we thought we fall in love with in the first trilogy. This is not the rebellion we see in Rogue One. These are just a bunch of people with like a chicken without a head, just running around making things happen.
We'll get to Tay later because I have a perfect comp for who I think Tay is. For who Tay is. I have a perfect comp for Tay from another gigantic movie. But stay on Cassian for one last time before we go. Okay, so you know that Cassian is going to escape the slap dicks. By the way, just to let you know, I hated them. They
were so funny though.
They annoyed the shit
They were
out of me.
so funny.
There's nothing that I hate. They were slightly plucky. There's nothing that I hate more than dangerous idiots.
Yeah.
I hate dangerous idiots. Wherever you go, just like dangerous idiots. But I will say that to finish off like kind of where Cassian is, there are two things that got me. Number one, when we first see him and then when we last see him. Okay. I'm always fascinated, and I wonder whether or not Gilroy knows what he's doing with Star Wars lore when he's doing it. As soon as Cassian got into the TIE Fighter, I thought about, I'm always going backwards, I'm sorry guys. I thought about Anakin Skywalker getting into the ship in Phantom Menace.
Okay.
Anakin, he shoots a couple of times and then he flies the ship and becomes like the hero right away.
Yeah.
Because there's something innate, there's something innate inside of him that makes him just more talented than everybody else. We watch Cassian fumble around and fuck around with that ship, shooting fucking people up. He's going backwards. He's going forward. By the way, that ship is incredibly durable.
Yeah.
It didn't blow up inside of the thing, and then they were shooting that bitch, and it was a very durable ship, right?
Yeah.
And then when he flies out, he crashes it again. And we watch his learning curve, learning how to fly it, and it makes the chase more exhilarating because there's a chance that he can crash.
Yeah.
I thought,
which changes the calculus. When you know that there's a chance, you know that Cassian Andor is going to survive that, but there's a chance that he can crash. And just that little hint of stakes just completely changes the scene.
I thought the juxtaposition with the beginning of the episode, with him talking to her about what it means to be rebellion, being so confident, being so prepared, like, yo, you got this, don't worry. Your fear, don't let your fear control you. Your fear is what gives you power over them, right? Boom. Then he gets in the plane, looks like a complete idiot. He hasn't quite figured it out yet. He's got some things down, right? But he quite hasn't got the spy escaping part of it figured out. I thought that was like a little fun juxtaposition. Like, he's not quite the Andor that we know in Rogue One just quite yet.
Now, when he swoops in at the end, deadly confident. He actually shoots the grain hold to fall on top of the stormtroopers. It is literally one of the more heroic scenes I've seen in Star Wars in recent memory.
It's awesome.
Well, the heartbreaking thing is, like, over these 3 episodes, Cassian, it was feeling like he has this, like, he's starting to have this, like, Han Solo heroic swagger to him. And I'm just like, oh, this is all going to get destroyed by the end. We know what happens in Rogue One. And it's like, we already see the first domino fall when Brasso dies, where I'm just like, oh, it doesn't matter how good Cassian is at this job. He can't save everyone. And I think that this episode did such a good job of, like, Cassian comes back looking so cool, but you could already see, like, just the weight of the rebellion, the weight of him being so good at this is starting, like, to chip away at him.
You're right. Which brings me to the Phoenix crew. That reminded me of Battlestar Galactica.
Hell yeah.
When you're watching Battlestar Galactica and they're running away from the fucking Cylons and, like, they're jumping one thing before, and they just, it's so hopeless. The Empire seems inevitable.
Yeah.
The Phoenix crew is my poor baby, my baby B2 Emo. They're there, but they know that the Empire is coming, and the Empire means them no good. We don't even know how sinister the Empire actually is, because that guy doesn't just come to like capture Bix. He actually comes to assault her as well. They just take whatever it is that they want, and they can only stay one step ahead of them. To maintain that tension in that story for 3 episodes where nothing actually really happens, it was just fantastic storytelling.
I don't think nothing happens. I think
well, I'm saying nothing happens. I mean, there's no combat. when I say nothing happens, I mean nothing that is visual eye candy happens till the end of it. Well, I mean
the way that those characters feel more and more embedded in their circumstance by the third episode, only to have all of those things upended, is now classic Andor. Because like in all of these 3 episode chunks, we've had setup, great exposition, and great like kind of finale set piece that isn't exactly even like that raucous or visual eye candy. Sometimes it is, but shooting a grain tower and being a hero to save the day, while not exactly like the most visual, like stupendous thing that we've ever seen, it's an amazing payoff for a season 1 start. And in episode 2, when we see Bix just like kind of accosted by this Imperial soldier, that's just like the most tense and uncomfortable interaction you can ever see. Not only being a perfect example of like the kind of laissez-faire mentality of what the Empire is to the like planets that it occupies, that it just kind of like passively glances at it, takes interest to it, and thinks about taking something. Applying that to a third episode of like a person that is only concerned about finishing an objective, and then all of the things that mean something to him are taken away more and more and more, and now all he has is an objective. I keep thinking about the last time that we see Cassian in Rogue One, and the straight line that is clearly being drawn from all of that mentality that's currently happening to him. It's a brilliant way to still propel this. To know that at the end of these 3 episodes, we're probably going to time jump another year, 2,
isn't it,
to something else.
What is he said that they're jumping how many years in between each 3 episode chunk?
A year.
Chuck, do you think that if it was worth hiding from the Empire, you could be you would farm the grain? Would you be how the Phoenix crew is farming the grain? What's life like as a grain farmer?
Here's the thing. I hate to be this person, but
No, you don't. No, you don't.
I already know what you're saying.
I felt for my nigga Will, because I'm just like, hey, yo, the farm girl coming to like give me some water. You know what I'm saying? We doing googly eyes at each other. I'm the nigga who's like fucking up the whole shit for everybody. I'm like, damn.
Where Will at? Where's Will?
You will not see him again.
I knew immediately once that farm girl, like Bix was like, hey, yo, your girl's here. I'm just like, he about to fuck it up for everybody.
Yeah, I knew it.
I knew it.
Not only that, when they're at the end, episode 3, he's like, "Baby, I'm gonna come back."
Absolutely not.
You never say that.
You will never say that in your life. It's over.
I'll do my best.
It's over. Say goodbye.
Poor B2 Emo just wants to be reunited with Cassie, and it just never seems to happen.
Cassian.
Here's the thing. I literally want to cry every single time I see B2 Emo because he's so anxious. And it's like they're treating him like a little anxious puppy, but they're like, don't tell him. Like,
I love you, Bozeman.
Look at Bozeman again.
All right, Mon Mothma. This wedding is a lot.
a lot.
A lot going on.
A lot bigger. So it's a 3-day wedding that they have on Chandrilla.
And she's
destination
marrying-
wedding.
It's
Hate
an
that.
African wedding, really, man. It was going on.
Oh,
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, we don't do hikes, but you know what I'm saying? There's like a whole bunch of festivities, Friday, Saturday,
did they do
Sunday.
that weird stick thing?
We
that
don't
they
do
did?
it. Africans play with sticks.
All right.
No,
Steve.
They did the stick thing.
Wow. Do they do that
Wow.
weird stick thing? That
Whoa.
stick thing?
You weren't watching the
That's
episode
like
clearly.
crazy.
A weird stick thing?
Woo.
Wow.
Wow. Wow.
Whoa, crazy. Jomi,
HR?
would you like to continue talking about...
I
This
don't-
is me
I
tempting
don't
man
feel
and not talking
safe.
about race.
I don't feel
I didn't
safe.
say it. No race.
No race.
I don't even know who the they is.
Exactly.
So but the wedding is, everybody's in their own little perfect pressure cooker.
Yeah.
Cassian's captured.
Mhm.
They have the Empire coming after them. And Mon Mothma, what could be more pressure filled than having to run point on your daughter's wedding while also being undercover as an agent of the rebellion, watching all of those things happen.
And literally on a planet where they can't basically communicate
Yep.
with anyone. So Lathan is going insane. He's just like,
well, Kayla is way worse. Luther's like, let's do what we got to do. It's not ideal, obviously, right? But Kayla's like, I can't work here. I can't do this.
Kayla is my...
I need to be on the phones.
I love her. She's just like, yo. I need to get out of
Get
here.
me back to
Fuck
the
this
desk.
place.
Yeah.
Her and Vel keep making googly eyes at each other, man. They need to chill out.
It's something happening.
This, bro.
Wait. So she's
They're gonna.
is there a love triangle between who are the three love triangles? There's
Val, Cinta, and
Kayla.
Kayla.
Yeah.
Could be. Because could be. There was a little between Val and Kayla. There was a little.
It's giving enemies to lovers.
Well, here's the thing. Cinta also in the third episode, like Cinta knows she a bad bitch because she looks back like, hey, what do you want me to do? I'll see you later.
Well,
she was like, if Cinta wanted to be here, she'd be here.
Well, remember, Cinta's whole thing is the mission comes first. Right? I do like you, it's cool, but I got a job to do, and I'm just going to take
Also, if
precedent
she
over
wanted
everything.
to, she would. Kind of
Exactly.
a mentality.
At least Cinta gave her the look though. Because I thought that Cinta was just going to play it straight up with
Like
Tay.
deuces.
Yeah, he's like,
Hey,
all right.
Speaking of that, Tay. You know who Tay is?
Okay, who's Tay?
Tay is Maury from Goodfellas. Maury, bro.
Oh, we're playing his hand?
Bruh, Tay is Maury from Goodfellas. The whole time I was watching. So Maury, if you guys haven't seen Goodfellas before, Maury is a wig guy who helped them scout out the Lathan heist, right? And he's asking for his money from Jimmy. And the whole time he's asking for his money from Jimmy the Gent, played by Robert De Niro, you're watching a movie and you're thinking, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Like, Jimmy is a fucking thug and he sees mission accomplishment in his future, and you are going to get yourself killed by bothering this guy about money. Wait until the money comes. Shut the fuck up. And the entire time that Tay is talking, he's talking about money. He's getting drunk. He's doing the same thing that Maury was doing.
He's talking to Scolding a lot.
Talking to Scolding a lot. He's doing the same thing. He's dropping little hints that he needs a meeting, that there could be dissension, that he might go to somebody else. I'm like, he's dead.
Yeah.
He must die.
I thought he was like,
Even Mon's husband was just like,
this guy's
Hey, yo,
got
Get your man.
Like,
Get your
come
man.
on,
in that first episode where he's like, oh, so this is your
little
side
boyfriend.
piece. Yeah, your little side piece, huh?
Yeah.
It's like, no, will you shut up?
So all of that stuff's happening at the wedding at the same time. And it seems like the point of the wedding was to show that the brain trust of the rebellion is a little decentralized.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like there's no guy in the chair right now, and all it really takes is something to distract them, to kind of have them a little bit frazzled.
Well,
which
I
the
think
wedding kind
even
of
with
was.
Mon Mothma, I think the point of the wedding was also to show that she doesn't have the heart for this yet, where she's not the Mon Mothma we know, where she's trying to have her cake and eat it too, where she knows that she's arranging a political marriage for her daughter. And that's the right thing for the rebellion. That's the right thing, like, for their, just in terms of what she needs to get done. And she can't do it. She breaks down. She's like, hey, yo, you don't have to get married. And her daughter's like, are you fucking crazy? Like,
That was such a heartbreaking
I wish
scene.
you were
say-
drunk was crazy.
That was
and
so,
same
that
thing
was
with
so
Luthen.
sad.
Like, Luthen is just like, you know what we're gonna have to do with Tay. And she's not ready to pull the trigger yet.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, you're not ruthless enough to lead the rebellion. We still have steps to get you there.
So she hasn't quite been radicalized in the same way we've seen Cassian radicalized. Not quite yet.
Has Mon Mothma ever had to kill anyone?
No. And that's kind of not her deal. However, what her deal is to be the flashpoint for the rebellion. And it's clear that she's not quite comfortable, to your point, being that just yet.
Do you think Mon Mothma gets her hands dirty at all in this season?
I don't know.
I mean, she's getting her hands dirty. Here's the thing: the fact
I mean,
that
she's already
she
technically
knows,
getting her hands dirty.
Well,
with
no,
the
I
money.
mean,
the fact she
not
knows
in a
Tay's gonna
literal
get
sense.
killed is like, that's why she gets drunk, because she's just like, she's not stopping it.
That
She
was-
knows
and
what's gonna happen.
That was listening to Martin Garrix in there, just throwing back drinks out of the glass. I was like, hey.
I was gonna say there were a couple, every season of TV has some like kinks to work out, and I was just like, dog, why they playing fucking Skrillex?
That's a tough look.
At the,
Playing dubstep over there.
I was wondering about that. So a lot of the Star Wars music that we've heard being played before is
what's it called?
Jizz.
Jizz jazz.
It's called
Yeah,
Jizz.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's called Jizz.
It's called
Hey,
Jizz.
look.
That's canon.
Y'all,
That's
all right.
The guys in the cantina, they're called Jizz Whalers.
Yeah.
I didn't name them.
Look, because if I say something, then it's going to be Van is a gooner. And so
Van's already a gooner, so we don't like. Yeah.
So I'm not gonna say anything.
I thought the interesting thing about the Mon Mothma stuff, these 3 episodes, was almost every conversation.
Mon Mothma.
Go
ahead.
Mon Mothma. Almost every single conversation she had was kind of like a wink and a nod to something else. Because Tay would come in and be like, "Yeah, man, this place looking nice, man. It's real cool, man. Imagine if we could share that wealth to some over there." Luthan's coming out like
Luthan's like, "Is this dude like? Are you?"
No, I mean she's talking to Luthan. Luthan's like,
Ice Cube, Jerry Heller and Eazy-E is eating like fucking fettuccine and shrimp and champagne, and Ice Cube come through with the fat burger. Must be nice. That's Tay. All Tay was doing was making trouble.
Luthan comes in, like when they first talk, it's like, wow, what a surprise. It's like, yeah, you can't avoid these things. Like every conversation was subtext for what's actually going on with the money, with the rebellion, the whole thing. I get why Mon Mothma at the end was like, man, let me get these shots, bro. This is too much.
Yeah, I feel like the scene of her dancing and the scene of her drinking was symbolic because there will be something that happens sooner rather than later that will completely necessitate Mon Mothma throwing off any airs or pretensions about who she actually is.
Yeah.
There will be something that incites her that will actually make her confront the entire apparatus of the empire. Mm-hmm. And at the point that she just lets go, she actually relaxes. It was almost as if she was falling into something, even symbolically right there. She had an arc, a very distinct arc. Only second to Cassian's, in as far as I'm concerned, in these 3 episodes. That by the end,
there was something also that her husband was saying to the other father, where he was kind of like, "Does your son even know what he's getting into in terms of like the type of women that this family has?" Which is just like, I think that was a scene where he was talking about Mon Mothma, where she's the leader. Not only does she wear the pants, but she's ruthless. And I don't think Mon Mothma always wants to admit it, but I'm like, oh, you're a killer. Like there's a reason that you're going to be the face and lead this rebellion. But to your point, there's that symbolic moment where she's dancing where I'm like, oh, you're warring. You want to be the senator. You want to be this person who's like fighting for the greater good, but you don't want to get your hands dirty. You want everybody to be safe. And I'm like, you can't have it both ways.
No. And she has to be, real quick.
Yeah, sure.
She has to be, right? Because she has to be, her job is like all espionage. So the question is, she has to be that person that puts a clean face on it and argues in the Senate and all of that.
You need a face.
Will she be able to be, to your point, for a long time? The answer is probably not.
Yeah, and that's what I meant when I said getting her hands dirty. I don't think that she's going to actually physically hold a pistol to somebody or pull the trigger so much so, but like to know that she will be the face of the rebellion in formality as well. To know that when we see her in Rogue One, she's going to be in that bunker giving orders and actually making those hard decisions to orchestrate an entire flow chart of like not only military operations, but rebellious sentiment. Right now, she's still trying to just be the smiling face that can hopefully just wrangle a couple of spies, hoping that a job gets done. And now come the end of this, she's like, well, fuck, I've got to actually just I got to show my whole ass in front of the Senate and everybody and my family, my husband, my daughter, all of these things to just be like,
she got to show her ass in front of who?
Like she a redhead too. They be thick.
Yeah.
God.
Whoa.
It wasn't lost on me that Chandrilla is like a whole planet of redheads. Me like. Okay? Redheads be thick. Y'all never notice that redheads be thick? They be thick.
So I thought like...
Wait. No. Are we talking every redhead?
Not every redhead, but like...
I don't know.
A lot of redheads...
I wasn't watching the Banshees of Inisherin and noticing everybody was thick.
Google that.
That? No.
Redheads be thick a lot of times. Am I making this up in my head?
There's Christina Hendricks. Yeah, she thick.
Thick. Bryce Dallas Howard.
Thick.
Like redheads, they be a little thick. There's something about it. I'm telling you, there's a connection between.
Was Will's homegirl thick?
Who?
Will, the farm girl? She was a redhead.
she was kind of, I could see the vision. I'm telling you. I'm not making this up in my mind, y'all. I'm telling y'all. There's a connection
I was like,
between
even in the beginning,
redheads and thickness.
she wasn't
There's
even a redhead though, but in the beginning, like homegirl who was like going to the TIE fighter, I was like, damn.
I like her too.
We did.
I like her.
Wait,
I like her.
the first.
Yeah, the little.
I was just like, that can't be a white woman. And then I saw the face.
She's doing her thing. She's doing her thing. Whatever.
Whatever.
It's fine. It's fine. Let's get back to it.
The Midnight Boys is never going to get to the place we need to get to unless y'all
Guys,
Let's
Listen,
just get back to the pod. Let's just get back to the pod.
We were talking about how the rebellion is in disarray, but Krennic, Dedra, everything that's going on in that planet when they're talking about Gorman, is the Empire doing that well?
So
I think so.
No, because if you think about it, I think the Empire, even though they're becoming more powerful, they have to go. They have to go to an outer rim planet to get grain. You know what I'm saying? Like Krennic is like, we need this Calkite so bad.
The Calkite. I mean, so the thing about Krennic, who I love to see again,
Amazing.
Gonna build a Star Wars, mate. I love it. They need the Calkite specifically because I assume Death Star stuff, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And so it only they have the spiders, which is supposed to be the Gorman's one true necessity, or the thing that is the most unique thing about the planet, but it's not. It's the Calkite. The problem is mining the Calkite would destroy the planet, and the people probably won't go for that. So you have to figure out a way to get these people either off the planet or kill them or whatever to get the Calkite for the Death Star. That's the plan. It's not really like the Empire's fault as much as it's just like,
it is the Empire's fault.
Hold on for a second. But I think the question is being asked. First of all, if you're gonna do an exposition dump, that's how you exposition.
That's a great way to do
all right?
it. Yes.
Don't because he's been responsible for a couple of exposition dumps. I still won't forgive the expedition dump in The Dark Knight Rises, where it was like, oh, you mean the clean slate? I won't forgive you.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I won't
Clean
forgive you
slate
for
protocol.
the clean slate. Okay. But if you're going to exposition dump, that's how you do it.
Yeah.
Right? Move the plot forward. However, there is something to be said about the Empire and us getting an inside look on both the economic and the propaganda arms of the Empire. Yeah. So what you have is the Empire that is trying to figure out how to harness the wealth of the galaxy. Remember, they're doing something new. They're forcing, this is not trade, this is not cooperation, this is tyranny, this is oppression. So they want to force people to do it. However, they still have to mitigate the chance of rebellion.
Yeah.
So they don't want to just jackboot everything. They're not quite there yet. Yeah. They don't have the Death Star. The Death Star was going to be the mode by which the Empire said, do what the fuck we tell you to do or you're dead.
It's their atomic power.
It's their atomic power, right? So in this case, what you see is them saying, hey, we have to have this planet. This planet is a planet of people that, number one, is well-liked by the rest of the galaxy.
And prideful.
Prideful, makes beautiful things. Yeah. We got to take them, so we have to ruin their reputation.
Yeah.
So the Empire is showing weakness for sure. Showing weakness in that they can't just do what they would want to do. Yeah. They have to sort of trick them out of their position.
And this was like, it was too real watching those two guys go like, all right, here's what we do. You know, it's, again, they don't have social media out there, but basically like, we go on Twitter, we get bots. We have people talk about how bad the Gormans are, this and that, and the rebellions and this and that, and people will come to hate the Gormans. Then we can come in to act like we're out here trying to save the planet, and we can get our stuff. And I was like, that's too.
Well, here's the thing. That whole part, I was like, this is goofy as fuck, because I'm like, are you guys just pitching like the Galaxy's Andrew Tate to like get on?
Well, it's kind of, you know what I mean? Well, no, but it's a
commentary on like what you do. Yeah.
No, but here's the thing. What I thought was brilliant about this, I was like, damn, those two guys, this whole thing is goofy as hell. Then Dedra rolls up on Krennic and it's just like, hey, yo, that player you got, fuck all that shit. We actually need to sow dissension. We need to get some people in the rebels who are going to be able to do what we need to do when it's time on Gorman, which is why I think Dedra is there, because she's been disgraced after everything that happened on Phoenix, but I think what Krennic realizes in her is that whatever happens on Gorman, he needs people who are willing to do what needs to be done, which is essentially a mask. They're basically saying,
Yeah.
we need somebody who is going to turn an eye when we kill everybody on this planet.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I forgot she was in the show. And
Deirdre?
So, yeah. And so when they pan over her on the table, I was like, oh man.
Oh my God. She
I was like,
she might be one of my favorite characters in the show.
I'd
Not
vote
even
for
close.
Dedra.
No.
I fell for her in this one because they're basically insinuating that they're gonna kill around 800,000 people.
Yeah.
Yep.
And she doesn't want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like either she doesn't want to do it or she doesn't want to do it in the way that they're saying to do it. She actually says, I don't want this mission. Tell them I don't want to do it. And, she gets told basically you have to.
you have to do it.
I find that incredibly like compelling because I was literally talking about this to Chuck before. I was like, did I miss something? Or I was like, why does Krennic take a shine to her knowing that she fucked up Ferrix last season so bad? Like, why would she even be invited to this project, let alone valued for her insight? And the insight of like knowing that like a rebellion kind of fucked her over on Ferrix, and that she would kind of want to lick back from that.
It's because she's in a weakened position.
Exactly. It's because and the fact that she's kind of being exploited by that embarrassment to want to like kind of make good on this, to like have her boss be like, no, this is a gift. Take it. Because you can actually prove yourself.
It's going to seem like a demotion, but
but it's not.
Well, I also
think the interesting thing, and I just thought about this now, is that because we have the whole thing with Cyril and Dedra, which is gross, by the way.
I loved it. I love them together.
I was disgusted.
I loved it.
They're both gross people, but
I am wondering what his purpose in the show is.
Here's what it is. I think it's to humanize Dedra a little bit.
Interesting.
So that when she's like, actually, I don't want to kill all these people on this planet, we're like, oh, because you have Cyril at home, you have something to lose. In season 1, her whole thing was, I have to go do this. She was torturing everybody, just a terrible, terrible human being. She was willing to do whatever it took to get to her mission, right? Now she's got someone at home. Cyril, come home too. We brought the mom over. And she was like, hey, he's going to call you every week, visits twice a month. But all that depends on how you treat me, how you treat him. All right? It goes up and down.
Would you let your girl talk to your mom like that?
Probably not. But like, hey guys, we got to come to a peaceful resolution.
I'll tell y'all something. I'm just gonna be real with you. You got to get to a point, and then you got to stay out of it. I know it doesn't sound like it.
No, that's the mind your business protocol.
So this is what happens.
Nah, but then it's gonna be like,
No,
hey, Van, what you think? It's
No,
like,
this is what happens. This is what happens. And this is what happens. You talk to your girl.
Mhm.
You talk to your mom.
Yeah.
You say, hey, this is the way I expect my mom to be treated. Hey, this is the way I expect my girl to be treated. And then after that,
y'all got
it's
stay out
between
of
them. It's between them.
because you get to a certain point. First of all, if you don't want to invite your mom into the problems that you have. Never tell your mom when you're in a fight with your girl, because you and your girl will get over it and your mom will remember it forever.
Yeah.
But when they do, when it's a thing that they have to work out, telling you, either you're gonna be there's nothing you can do. Either you're gonna be a mama's boy to her,
Sure,
or you gonna be you love that
guy.
bitch more than you love your mama. So you end up, you talk to both of them, and then you go, either y'all figure it out, or we can't go on no vacations. And nobody goes to Anguilla. I'll go by myself. I'm serious.
Nobody go to Turkey Cake.
Nobody goes. Like, I'll go by myself. If y'all don't figure it out, nobody goes anywhere. Because I'll play the fucking game. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's what you got to do. I'm telling you.
I scream laughed when it cut from them having that conversation to Cyril just like on the bed.
I was dying.
That was
like
funny
nearly
as hell.
crying.
That was funny as hell.
That was so incredible.
But also Cyril being like having to talk to the new recruit.
Yeah, I came
I was
came
like,
off the bus.
you can
He's
find
like, yo,
purpose in the work.
He's like, I used to sit over there, and the guy was like, oh, don't keep looking at me. I was dying.
Yeah, I came up out here, man. You start from the bottom, man. You work a little hard. You get to where I'm at, middle management.
This to me is Gilroy flexing at how good he is at this shit in the 3rd episode of the 2nd season of Andor. To know that Andor, like, saving the day and being the big hero also is counteracted with a man, his wife and his mom arguing at a dinner table, And that being equally as compelling is just incredible stuff. Like, I loved this.
So I want to talk about one scene in particular. Because I don't know that I've ever seen anything like this in a Star Wars movie or television show, which is obviously the attempted assault on Bix.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever seen Star Wars.
No.
I mean, obviously in Jedi, there is, Princess Leia and what she's forced to wear, and she's got literally a chain around her neck. But, in watching that scene, knowing that the Empire, it represents the most oppressive, the most maniacal and tyrannical regime in the galaxy, some of that stuff would be happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Some of that stuff would be happening. That stuff happens in conflict. It happens in war. And it's something that has never really been expressed, at least that I can see, like on screen. But it obviously very, very, very difficult to watch.
Yeah.
But seemed like a very distinct choice to even further push us into what it is that we're up against and bring us out of a galaxy far, far away and into some of the horrors of the world that we actually occupy here.
So I could tell that was by episode 2. Obviously, you can kind of tell that that's where it was going. And I think what made me nervous initially is I think that the history of Hollywood, and especially I think it is an easy, cheap, disgusting code that a lot of writers and a lot of male writers do, which is like, how do I put a female character in the most peril? Well, rape.
Yeah, of course.
But what I think Tony and company managed to do that I thought was really powerful is that, A, to your point, they're showing for the first time, and I think it is when Bix essentially tells the other Imperial guy, he's like, you killed him. He's like, he tried to rape me.
Yeah.
Is that, no, the Empire, if we are going to make a mature show about war, we have to show just how evil totalitarianism is. And it's like, they're not just pillaging, they're raping. Like, this is all one nasty giant thing. And I think what they managed to do was Bix the entire time, she has PTSD and she's like, where's Cassian? Where's Cassian? Where's Cassian? But Cassian doesn't really save her. She takes matters into her own hands.
She does,
right?
Because you're like, oh, and it's this arc where I think a lot of lesser shows wouldn't have picked up on, Bix was just tortured a year ago. She's still fighting that inner battle. By the end of episode 3, she's not better, but she is at a point where it's like, oh, she's a leader. She's telling Will, you didn't clean this. She's telling other people, like, why are we doing this like that? She's looking up at the ship, knowing how dangerous the Empire is. And I think that the team, like, I got very nervous, but I was like, okay, like, I think that this was purposeful. And if you're going to tell a story about a fictional war, this is what war is since the start of mankind.
Yeah, I think the thing that made the biggest impression on me was, again, she's like, Cassian. But in that moment, Cassian's not there. She saves herself, right? She uses the hammer. She kills that guy. And I think that is the thing that I was like, okay, she did it herself.
And she knew that there would be a cost.
Yeah. There's no man to come save her. She handled that herself. I think that's the thing that, like, when I seen that scene, I'm like, I understand.
But there's a brutality to it and a desperation to that scene that, they could have played it differently, but they didn't. And we're watching this on Disney Plus, man.
And it's
I was actually shocked.
I won't say it's a brave thing to put that in the same universe where all of this heroism and lightheartedness and like family-friendly fun time universe is from. But a show that operates like this, that has like the kind of determination to tackle themes that go to very dark places that we don't even really understand the stakes of, which, because, this is in the same world where people are running around with laser swords. those things can still hit very home, and whether or not we think that they're necessary, they can be very, very impactful for showing where a character is and where we see ourselves in those people. To not exactly think of the desperation that a character is in and still see something like that handled very well and like impactfully for sure. As uncomfortable as I was like, wow, this is really something that I didn't think Star Wars could do, and come out of it being like, wow, I think that we kind of just evolved the level of storytelling that this property is able to do. Andor's been doing it probably since its inception. One Way Out was that. It feels like this 3-episode arc was that too, and it's kind of nowhere but up from here. Like, I am very impressed with the level of themes that it can show, not only with family and self-determination and self-actualization on the level of Bix, but to know that she's still got to go on and carry everything that happened to her from season 1 onward is really, really harrowing. And this was a very good example of that.
Well,
I mean, also, I was going to...
To Van's point, like, you have to show how bad the Empire is. And I think season 1 and these first 3 episodes are just like, these are the worst people ever. This is the worst group of people. Like, it'd be one thing to just like say it, but showing it. And
in some ways, to not handle that well is a bit of a cheat code and crass way to do that.
You could, they could do it poorly, but I think Tony Gilroy has such a handle on the material and what the story's trying to tell. So, like, again, watching that scene, it's very, very uncomfortable. But it's like, this is what people, like empires do. This is what people who think that they're above everything. This is what they do.
I was going to say what I think the 3 episodes actually do really, really well is that the 3 main storylines that have to do with women, they're all making a very similar choice. Where it's like you have Mon Mothma, who not only has to make a choice of, am I going to let this guy basically loot and kill this guy, but also I'm marrying my daughter off for a political marriage that I know is a sham. You have Dedra, who, as we were talking about, is like, if I accept this job, I'm going to be one of the figureheads that's responsible for killing 800,000 people. And then you have Bix, who, while she's definitely not part of the Empire, no stretch of the imagination, like, she's not necessarily a rebel. You know what I mean? And she has to make this choice of, when push comes to shove, am I going to kill an Imperial officer, not only to protect myself, but to protect my family? And I was just like, oh, that is actually how you do this. Where I think Star Wars for a long time just did not have a lot of great women character at the forefront. And to have 3 women character in this that are all making a similar decision and all go about it in different ways, I was just like, oh, that's phenomenal writing.
So everybody pick a knit. I'll go first.
Okay.
Before we do that.
What?
Really quick, let's go to an ad break. And when we come back, Vanna's going to walk us through maybe some nitpicks that we had with the first 3 episodes.
Okay. It worked for narrative purposes, but I fucking just like really could not stand the Maya's crew on the. I hated them. They were bothering the shit out of me, and it was super bold to take Cassian essentially off the board.
For the first 2 episodes.
For the first 2 episodes.
2.5, really.
For the first two episodes, and there was a point where I was wondering, like, is that going to work? It did. But that group of characters, to me, I was annoyed being with them as much as I had to be with them. Was it almost a different
show? There was, to your point, when I was watching that, not only was I annoyed, it felt like a different show. Like, almost like the comedy of it, the hokiness of it, the pluckiness of it. There was a moment where I'm like, I get what you're doing, but they ended up landing the plane, but I was like, what?
Yeah, and I think it only works for me if it's in that 3rd episode when he's like absolutely furious at how disorganized and fucked up it is, because he's like, we're as annoyed as he is by being marooned for 2 days with a bunch of idiots
for sure
that don't know what the fuck they're doing. And then by the time that he gets off of that planet, he's absolutely enraged by the fact that he's lost 3 days. And was just like basically like stranded for months to do one thing, and then he was stopped by these assholes.
These dummies.
Yeah. Like, I get it, because like now we need a flow chart. This guy can't operate or do his job if this is what we're working with.
Yeah, and it's just how, like, businesses work, right?
Yeah.
If one guy doesn't get his job done, how's the other guy get his job done? My nitpick, it's really, really small. It's really tiny, but I got to see Brazo get shot, bro.
Yeah.
Because
Rest in peace,
the
Brazo.
last time we see him, he's ducking the lasers. I'm like, all right, my guy good. And then we look up, and he's gone. I'm like, yo.
But you do see the one stormtrooper.
I see him, but I'm just thinking like, oh, he just shooting. You know what I mean? Like, he just, it's a cool. I'm like, that's a cool shot. That looks cool.
Yeah.
But even think about how Tony Gilroy is playing with our expectations, because it's a joke in The Mandalorian that the stormtroopers always miss.
Yeah.
So we're conditioned to think that Brasso gets away.
Yeah.
So when we realize, like, oh, one of the blasters actually got him, we're literally not used to that in Star Wars.
Yeah, not like an actual nitpick, but I was just like, I'm thinking like, oh man, he might have just hit the speeder. My man, good. He gets down there. Brazos, man, wake up, Brazos. We gotta go. We gotta go, Brazos. I'm like, no. And then they go back to the TIE fighter, and he looks at Bix. Hey, where's Brazos? Just like,
Didn't make it.
like, bruh.
Walked over Brazo. Y'all, any nitpicks?
My nitpick is just the Mon Mothma dance scene was kind of corny.
like it?
It's because here's the thing.
She was bumping that.
No,
butt,
because
man.
white women in movies always do that shit. Once
it's
they
the
like get
elbows.
over their
It's the high
divorce, they're
elbows.
like, I'm just like, all right, come on.
That's how they dance in real life.
Don't know how to use their arms.
Yeah.
Just be.
It's all elbows.
Yeah. You like that shit though, don't you?
Nah, I mean, you guys.
Listen, when we play Kelly Clarkson, you're going to be doing
Right?
this.
Oh, Kelly,
Kelly
since
Clarkson.
you've been gone,
Miss
is mine.
Independent.
Bro, she had Since You've Been Gone, Breakaway, and I forget the
Miss
third one.
Independent.
Breakaway is crazy.
Breakaway's so
No.
good.
She got like 3
She's got hits, bro.
bangers in a row on her first album. I was like, yo.
Who is the queen of white girl anthems?
Celine Dion.
Nah.
anthems?
White girl anthems.
Madonna got some.
Madonna got some anthems. So Kelly Clarkson is up there.
Yep.
Kelly
Vanessa
Clarkson.
Carlton got an anthem.
Oh,
I think
Vanessa
she
Carlton got an anthem.
Vanessa Carlton got
Avril
an anthem.
Lavigne.
Avril Lavigne got a couple anthems.
Okay.
Fucking Paramore.
Haley Williams.
Oh, yeah.
No, but you're not talking about race. We
That's
love Haley Williams
cross-generation.
on this
Haley,
side,
because Haley Williams is a rare white girl who got a little soul when she kind of like.
Yeah,
she got a little bit in the voice. I like Kelly Clarkson as like just a white. Because here's the thing, just since you've been gone, sometimes I just be crying in the car.
yeah,
Katy Perry.
Katy Perry. Oh,
Katy
but here's the
Perry
thing.
got a
We're
couple
gonna
early
be
Katy
honest.
Perry.
Yeah.
Katy Perry's peak is one of the highest peaks.
Oh, it's
for a
so
white woman.
yeah.
Oh,
But
my
the
God.
fall off is bad.
Fall off's crazy.
Yeah.
Kesha.
Y'all, it's a lot
Brittany?
of Dr. Luke in this conversation. Anyway. Okay. All right. It's a lot of Dr. Luke. Okay.
Jeez, man.
Look ahead a little bit. I have 4 questions, but I'm only going to ask 2.
Okay.
Where are they at with the TIE fighter? So obviously they're not going to be able to cruise around the galaxy forever in a stolen TIE fighter.
Right.
What's their destination? What's happening now? Are we going to jump a year ahead in the next 3 episodes?
I think
Because
so.
if we're jumping a year ahead, because I was told by Arjuna, who fucking lied, that every single 3 episode tranche was going to be a year.
Yes.
That definitely didn't happen, because these 3 episodes took place over the course of.
No.
And then the next 3
the next
will be
3
another
Will be
year.
another year.
Yeah.
So we're not even probably going to know what happens after the TIE fighter. It's just going to be the next year.
Yeah.
Okay, so I literally thought that what they meant was the 3 episodes would cover the course of a year.
Oh, no.
No.
The 3 episodes are a year apart.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because if the 3 episodes are a year apart, there is a shit ton of things left over from this that we are going to miss.
Wait, when is the Gorman massacre?
2 BBY.
And we are in
4
4
BBY.
BBY.
So that means that the Gorman massacre is happening in the middle of the season then?
Or near the tail end.
Because
If
it starts at 4 BBY. If we're doing
next
a year,
next
would be
the
3.
next 3
right.
is 3.
Then
The next one is
would be
2. So
Then we have 1 BBY, and then we're locked in.
And then we're there. I think that this is more like with these 3 episode tranches, this is probably likely going to be just capturing like a slice of life time and place of the rebellion to where like, okay, they're clearly very disorganized, but they have a lot of people that are willing to activate and like get their shit together. And where we leave off at the end of this third episode is them just kind of marooned at the end in like shoved into one TIE fighter, like determined, ready to do something. Mothma is like kind of getting there as far as being the leader that she's going to be. Lathan very, very determined to get that flowchart going. I think when we jump ahead another year or so, maybe we see Mon Mothma like getting a little bit more grizzled. They're probably going to be doing another job, like Bix and Andor and everybody else are just going to be like together now. Maybe I'm interested to see where the progress of this Imperial project is going to be a year in. Like,
Wait,
what's the propaganda going to look like? Is there going to be an insurgency that's going to be boiling? Are they going to be dealing with that? I like the idea that like once we kind of just jump ahead and be like, oh yeah, that thing that happened a year ago when we were marooned. Like that's good.
I think it's going to be like Succession, where you don't know when things are happening.
There's going to be talking.
They should be talking,
they'll let you in on it through action and dialogue.
Yeah. Are Bix and Cassian together? Because there was one line where essentially like Brasso's like, somebody's like, yo, Cassian is going to want to know that she's having nightmares again. And it seems like maybe they're not a couple, but it seems like they have their closeness
they
is
knew
now.
that they had nightmares.
I mean, my husband is away. I think she's referring to Cassian.
No,
well,
but
she could just be saying
well,
that.
Maybe,
I think
get
she
a
was
creep
saying
off
like,
her back.
But yes, you're correct. But when you picture who do you think she's talking about? Cassian.
yeah, Bix ain't making it out of this season. Because here's the thing: if I lost,
she done.
No,
Like
yeah.
it's we haven't seen like none of these motherfuckers in the real world.
Yeah.
He's not making it to
Cassian's
Rush Hour
having a
3.
bad time.
so
when we
here's
meet
the
him in
thing:
Rogue One.
I gotta ask you. My one question is, I think all of us were a little bit like, oh, they're releasing 3 episodes at once. Shit, like we're not really going to. That's a lot of TV. We're not going to really get to marinate with whatever. I honestly think the 3 episodes were like dropping them
That
all.
was
I
a quick
loved
watch,
it.
honestly.
Oh, yeah, no,
I was
First of all, they were a little shorter than I thought they were going to be. You're looking at around 42, 43 minutes of these episodes, and they moved
That shit goes
quickly.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's that much of a problem either. Now,
I also think
we
it's-
also watch television for a living.
Yeah.
Some of us sometimes.
when we feel like it.
But we also watch television for a living. So, you know, there are other people who will be at work and all of that stuff like that. Who knows if they have the time and the opportunity to access it the way that we did. But for me, I got through the 3 of them. I actually watched the last one over again. Like, I got through the 3 of them pretty quickly.
I was also like, I did the lean in meme. The first episode,
times, yeah.
once he gets into the TIE fighter and they start fighting and shit, and he's trying to maneuver his way out, I was like, oh shit, this is about to be a movie. And I think what I liked with the 3 episodes, I'm like, oh, it gives you that feeling of I'm watching just a 90-minute, 2-hour movie, and I'm gonna get another one where I feel like if I'm going back to the first season of Andor, sometimes let's be honest, the second episode we watched was probably the weakest of the batch, but because we had the third one right after it, it didn't.
That's where I was at.
Yeah.
Because if it goes weekly, you watch episode 2, you kind of like,
What was that?
all right, man.
That's what I was saying. It was too much time with the slap dicks.
Yeah, it's just like, what's going on? So I think to your point, you're correct in releasing the episodes in 3
Charles
batches.
made the point, but yeah,
My fault.
yeah.
My fault, OG.
Just making sure Charles made the point.
My question, and I was wondering this, it's kind of silly, I'm not gonna lie to you. Where are the rebels, man? Like I'm talking about like Kanan, Ezra, Sabine, like they're around
Yeah.
at this point. And not that I'll be very clear. I don't need them in the
I mean,
show. I don't need
Yeah,
them
no,
to
we
make,
actually, can you
What's
look up?
going on?
I don't
What's
need them,
going
but
on?
I'm just
Oh
like-
no, I have a thing. What's
I
going on
just
at
think
4?
I just think it's funny
Uh-huh.
that
This
while
might be-
and Cassian and them are doing their thing on this side, there's another cell on the other side of the galaxy with Kanan and Hela. Oh my God, Kanan and Sabine and Ezra. And they're just like,
Can I interject here? We have major events in 4BBY from Star Wars Wiki fandom. After obtaining a Kyber crystal from the Jedi Emperor, Ezra Bridger constructs his first lightsaber. This is where Kanan Jarrus is captured by Moff Tarkin,
oh,
and the Grand Inquisitor is killed after a duel with Kanan Jarrus.
I mean,
That all happens in 4BBY.
So I'll be honest with you. I always wonder all kinds of stuff, like no mention of Leia, who is a major player in the rebellion.
How old is she at this point? She's probably like teenager.
Yeah, she's in her teens though. At this
Sure,
point.
At 4
teens.
BBY.
Shit. But by the time she was 17, 18, 19, well,
True,
she was like 19
Mhm.
in the first one, and like by that point, she was already running missions for
Yeah, she was in Rebels. Yeah, she was
right. And then in
Yeah.
Rogue
She'll
One,
be 15.
yeah, in Rogue One, they delivered the fucking plans to her, so she might be around. If not her, certainly Bail Organa.
Yeah.
you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
Bale's for sure.
Yeah,
around here.
but anyway, obviously we talked about it earlier. The rebellion is not the most centrally organized thing right now.
Yeah.
So it's very possible that Ghost Squadron is like operating with their own directives and their own funding and their own stuff. So like
it feels like these circles are just getting closer and closer though.
Yeah.
Like feel like maybe like I'm not expecting to see the rebels in Andor or whatever, but like these entities are getting really close to interacting directly.
Do you guys think that you need a Star Wars PhD for these first 3 episodes? Because there was a moment where I was like,
Ghost, like it's possible that Ghost Crew is doing their own thing. Go ahead. Like,
It's fine. We got it.
It's fine.
It's all good.
But there was a moments in this where I was like, God damn, like the lore on this is hell.
I don't know.
I don't know about the lore.
I think they're gonna get. I think they give you a lot of backstory.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think the lore is only heavy if you know where it's going, because I think you could watch that and they give you enough to make you wonder what's gonna happen.
I'm not
next.
saying that this was a bad thing. It was almost something where I think. Perfect example. We've been enjoying, like the Daredevil season has been up and down, but we've enjoyed some parts of it, other parts not as much. And like I was like, oh, I think the thing that I've been missing from a lot of this stuff is the specificity, where it's like you don't have to show us the fucking propaganda spider shit. Like it doesn't really matter. But it
you kind of have to.
This is the brilliance of like what Gilroy's doing, because I would say you don't need to be a lore expert, but you absolutely should rewatch the first season of Andor before you start this, because the way in which these characters speak and like act around each other, you need to know kind of who all these people are right from the jump, because it like all of that context is still carrying over. But
no,
when
did
it
finish your
comes
point,
to
though?
No, what I was gonna say is like you don't like. There's a lot of directors and TV writers who might write the spider propaganda scene and be like, "Yo, this is too long. We have to take it out." And instead, what Gilroy and company do is just like, "No, like this is gonna seem goofy. But like it's going to teach you about the Empire. It's going to teach you about the way Dedra strategically thinks. It's going to be we learn in that moment. Like Krennic is like." He's even like, all right, that's enough, guys. Where it's like, even he in that moment is smart enough to realize we need this propaganda arm, but I'm searching for something. And the smartest person in this room is going to be the one that's able to tell me this isn't enough. And I'm like, oh, I was happy by the end of that storyline in that scene, because I'm like, okay, I understand so much about where we are after a year and where we're going. And I feel like so much of nerd content is afraid that shit is going to scare us off. Like being patient with that, building that world, really just being patient, being like, let's think about every single aspect of how this world works. So when it implodes, you feel something.
Well,
go ahead, Jomi.
I just think it's interesting that you say that, because Tony Gilroy is famously like, all this Star Wars nonsense, hokey pokey, like who cares? Right, I'm here to tell a story. Forget about all the magic swords and all the lore and all that stuff. I'm just here to tell a grounded, serious story about rebels in fighting a rebellion. And again, the magic of at least the first season, these 3 episodes, is that you still have the Death Star, Krennic, all these little eye candy things that pop. And yes, there's a lot of lore, there's a lot of like new stuff we're learning every episode that they're throwing at us. But the thing that makes it all come together is that we can see real life in these stories. Again, with the propaganda, with the Empire. These are things that we've been watching on TV, we've been reading in books, seeing in media for years. None of it is brand new, but the first time we're seeing it in a galaxy far, far away. And it's like, wow.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I don't see any scene that has those things that doesn't have nutrition with what the story is actually being served for. I don't know Gilroy's process when it comes to his writing or what he wants to do creatively, but I could imagine easily where he's like, all right, I'm making a scene where I have all of these emperor's bureaucrats wanting to talk about the propaganda of wanting to take over a planet. What's the planet I could use? What's their main resource? Give me something that I can exploit from them. And then some Star Wars guru is like, oh, well, there's this planet, and they use the spider.
All of that's straight from lore.
Clearly.
But everything that's happening with Gorman is straight from
exactly. And the fact that Tony Gilroy doesn't exactly need to concern himself with the nuance of what all of those things and like unobtainium that Star Wars has needs to be, but what makes that so important? Why are the people in that room? What do the people in that room want? Those are the things that he can play with that actually make those things great.
Honestly, if you ask me, the Gorman Massacre, which we're not going to get too deep into explaining what that is to people, but if you ask me, the Gorman Massacre is the Red Wedding of Andor. It was the thing that Star Wars fans know about, that when you are making Andor, it's the thing that you have to orient the entire show around. Because that's going to be the North Star narratively as to what actually forms the Empire in the way that we know it to be formed. This is what happens the more durable a galaxy or the lore or a story or a universe, should I say, is. You're watching the first 3 Star Wars movies, and you're so into the story that's in front of you, right? I am your father, Luke's arc, Han and Leia, cool Chewbacca, all of that stuff. You watch it. Then you get to a point in your life and you go, who's paying for all of this?
Yeah.
Like who's paying for it? Like the rebels, who's paying for it? Like how do they get funded?
Yeah.
Obviously, the Empire, they're taxing people, they're stealing resources, whatever. But the rebels have secret base on Hoth. They have communications. They have
playing ships,
X-Wings.
the whole thing.
Yeah.
But they have the whole 9. Like, who's paying for it?
Yeah.
Like, and then you start worrying about the economics of the galaxy, which essentially is what the prequels were. The prequels were kind of, all right, let's get you guys into the nuts and bolts of the politics and economics of this galaxy that are the backdrop for this huge clash between good and evil.
You want to know what the prequels
You're
were
trying
to me?
to
The
pitch
prequels
your trade war movie.
Yeah.
They're like
You're trying to pitch
C-SPAN.
your trade war movie.
The prequels are like C-SPAN, and this is like The Wire, where you're like, oh, we're because like even
He's cooking right now. Yeah, it's,
Like,
it's true. It's a good point.
the whole council scene reminded me of the meeting in The Wire where like Stringer Bell turns to somebody, he's like, yo, are you taking notes
on a
from
criminal
me?
conspiracy?
Because like if you notice, like Frennick is like, yo, you guys, your bosses will know about this when they need to know about this. This isn't on your calendars.
No notes.
No notes or whatever. And what I realized in that moment is I'm just like, oh, we're used to an empire that's already built the Death Star and already killed the planet.
Yeah.
We're learning where they're just like, yo, this is a meeting about committing some war crimes. The dude is like, hey, isn't there a better way to do this? Why don't we just kind of like introduce like a pandemic or some type of virus? They're like, hey, we already gamed it out. This is the only way to do it. And I was so interested because I'm like, oh, the empire is still operating. Like we just can't kill 800,000 people.
Still need to seem somewhat normal to a bunch of people so that they don't inspire the rebellion.
The emperor still has promises.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I promised this to the galaxy.
Which is another reason why Mon Mothma is actually a tool of the rebellion, but also of the empire. Because Mon Mothma's descent in the Senate is seen by the empire as being useful to give the illusion of freedom, open thought, discussion, and dissension. So all of that stuff works until it goes too far. And in every single rebellion, something happens where the shit goes too far. Here in the States, they danced around the Civil War to
the compromise of 1850
for
the
like
whole thing.
10, 15,
Bleeding
20
Kansas,
years.
they just-
actually longer than that.
yeah.
Until they just went, fuck it.
Fort Sumter, baby.
We want to keep. I was gonna go race.
Wait, so who do you think? Maybe they haven't been introduced yet. Who do you think that Dedra is going to try to basically seed on Gorman? Like, who do you think she's going to try to get into the Rebels team?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Do you think it's Cyril?
I
Because
think it's
Cyril's
Cyril.
itching.
It could be
Cyril's
Cyril.
itching. He is just like, I
That's it.
need to get out.
And that's why that's such an interesting character dynamic, because Cyril is just like yearning to be of use. And Deirdre's just like, she can kind of like play him like a fiddle if she really wants to. And that's clearly illustrated by that dinner scene.
Here's
Here's the thing. I
He's
will
a
say,
puddle on a bed.
but I think
But
Deidre
she cares about him.
I think Dedra
Does she?
actually needs Cyril as much as Cyril needs Dedra, because I'm like, what I noticed in this, I'm like, oh, Dedra, like, she's looking for like acceptance and she's looking for love and she's like looking for this thing, because I think she's starting to have doubts about the Empire, not in terms of like, oh, she wants to become a rebel, but doubts in terms of like, I'm a pawn.
She hasn't quite been radicalized in the same way that some of the characters on the side of the rebellion haven't quite been radicalized. She's done a lot of fucked up shit, don't get me wrong. But, you know, building up to even potentially like being part of a mass genocide event, right, is something that she doesn't seem to, I'm not saying that she's standing on something moral here, but she's showing hesitation in being a part of this. Now, look, the Empire, they love genocide. They have a little genocide when they wake up in the morning. They kill the whole planet, all of that stuff. But there's going to be a point where, in this story, where there's no turning back.
Do you think Dedra was scared after what happened on, what's the name of the planet? Ferrix. Do you think that was a moment where she was just like, she actually was boots on the ground, got to kind of see, like, oh, this is what it means to kill this many people, and like basically the Empire's just like, you fucked it up.
Yeah.
Bye.
Right. I think that's part of it. That's definitely part of it. But I also think that that's the reason why she was chosen. And you see Krennic and essentially like the Empire do this all the time. Like Palpatine, the Empire, they reminds me of somebody else. They find what you want or your weak spot. They go to it, and then they give you something on the other side of it, or they pressure you, and before you know it, you're one of them, and you're wearing a red hat. I'm just joking.
Jesus Christ. I legitimately think her thing is to invoke another Star Wars property. I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it.
Oh, rest in peace, Solo, bro.
Yeah,
we gotta go. Chill. Before we get out of here, Steve, you want to say something?
Oh no, I think that it's going to be very interesting because we see like a fraction of that in this storyline, and then knowing that we're going to be time jumping a year plus to where those convictions have probably calcified into something that's a lot more actionable. Who knows where that project's going to be or where she's going to be in the hierarchy of that project. I'm very fascinated.
I mean, also, to be clear, because the fans will probably yell at us, I think also the thing is, I don't think she's standing on any moral ground. I think to her, she's like, Axis.
Maybe.
Yeah, Axis is the thing that I actually want. And her boss is like, hey, yo, you haven't found Lathan yet. You haven't found this rebel cell yet.
Stop wasting time.
Stop wasting time. And I think to her, she's just like,
and you don't have a choice. They've gotten at you. They've told you what they want you to do. And you got to do it. Last question. It's just a yes or no question. Going around the room. We back?
Yes.
Unprecedented levels of back.
So back. Nigga, we back.
Reporting live from Planet Glaze.
That's a wrap. Well, fuck it.
Glaze Prime.
When the donuts are good, we glaze them. All right. That is a wrap. This week on the Ringverse feed, the Ringverse is deep on The Last of Us. House of R will give you their Last of Us deep dive. Button Mash will be with you on Thursday. Mint Edition comes back Friday as well. Our producers are Aleya, SOB Zenieris, Jonathan, the poet, Kermah, Jomi, explainer Adeniran on socials, hashtag Jomi the Explainer to the Rebels. Ooh. I like that. On social, additional production from Arjuna, the Watcher, Ramgopal. Chuck, take us out.
Andor is back. The jizz music is slick. And I like...
Oh,
I'm not even
going to say it. Please finish that thought.
I'm not going to say
Please finish the thought.
Do it. Say it.
Wait.
I like my redheads like I like my milk.
No.
Big!
just a reminder that we can see everything on your screen, so please just stay on the notes.
Oh, on here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes, on your iPad.
Oh, this iPad it's free of the stuff.
Great.
Oh,
perfect.
good.
That's good to know.
Free of the
stuff.
What
Let's
is-
just
I
call
don't
it
even
stuff.
wanna
I
know
don't do
this
any
is.
stuff on this
Incredible.
iPad.
no porn on
I
the
don't
work
know.
iPad.
Credit
Yeah.
right there.
That's good.